Before we actually deal with the document, can you tell us what was your involvement in the drafting of this document?
I did not draft the document. I was not involved in the drafting. The concerns city manager raised was stemming from the issues at EMPD, which seems to have culminated in this process. So the BX emails came in between that, and that then added a further ground to say, but how is the possible leakage of information at the city? And there's been a lot of leakage in most of the departments, where we're having then emails that you cannot link or very difficult to trace in terms of who has been dealing with the defamatory material or what other leakage of information, personal information, and so on. So that is where the concern came from the city manager. So it's in the cumulative part, from starting off on the 17th with a meeting, and then I was informed about the meeting, and thereafter the issue of the BX email came out, and then city manager came up with this. So I had a discussion in terms of, I was briefed that this was going to be happening, but I was never part in drafting this document itself.
Okay, but so you were informed that you would have added responsibilities
I was
before
informed,
the document was communicated to the rest of the team?
yes, I was informed that I have to add in terms of looking at the evidence issues and so on, and do we sustain a possibility of successful HR matters or any other disciplinaries in all departments. And that is only because of the high expenditure being spent on labor matters, and especially lost disciplinary proceedings, lost arbitration proceedings. So that was a measure by this accounting officer to try and stifle that and hold it, to say we need an added leg before we even go out there to look at what is the evidence, is there further evidence required, and then, or is it at this stage after the by the department's investigations, do you need further evidence? Can we go on with the department to do its own internal, depending on the seriousness of the allegations, or can we go for a disciplinary tribunal? I would recommend then to the HOD to say, I think at this point we have sufficient evidence to go on with the disciplinary tribunal.
Mr. Behari, you say that the reason for this is because of the high number and the expense of labor matters.
Chair, apart from the high number, basically the labor department, there were a high number of lost cases at arbitrations, any other forum. Even the labor courts, we had to recently try and stem because of more detailed investigation into that. But there was a high turnover of lost cases. And then there was also the allegations from the EMPD officers. There was this, you can see the clicks, it'll tell you in the minutes as well, how, and that from the accounting officer position, even in terms of the functions it performs in terms of the SAPS Act, it was important that she gets into it. The BX emails came in thereafter, because in the discussion with the CM and the HOD, it was there's a whole lot of information or processes that are happening, which is not, it is exposing and possibly ineffectiveness of the EMPD.
Okay. Now, if you look at page 312 of that document, and there are 2 bullet points at the top, and then there's next full paragraph. I would like you to look at the paragraph that starts to usher in. This is where the city manager provides her reasons for this procedure. Can you just read that and then explain how it reconciles with what you say about the reasons for this development?
To usher in
Yes.
expeditious, credible, consistent and uniform management of discipline within the municipality. The following persons are hereby delegated to perform the above listed functions, as well as other functions connected therewith, as appears from the collective agreement, in that regarding to the municipality city manager's authorized representative.
Yes. And your explanation for why this change is brought about, how does it reconcile with what you've just read there?
So my explanation is there was a cumulative proceedings that led or started off at a meeting 17th of August 2023, which was about 3 days before this. And In that document, in that meeting, which is, I'm looking at the recording or the minutes minuted by Mr. Spies, but there was a clear indication of a disjoint between factional parties in the EMPD. Now, that is where she looks and saying, and I suggest to usher in expeditious, that means faster proceedings.
Yes.
Credible, consistent. Because credibility and consistency comes from the allegations made by EMPD officers in that other document.
So it has nothing to do with you were losing a lot of labor matters.
Chair,
That's what I want to establish, that this paragraph doesn't say, I mean, she wrote quite a long letter, and no way does she provide the reason that you are providing for this change.
Chair,
She speaks about expeditious, which I accept its efficiency, it speaks to efficiency. Credible, consistent, it has nothing to do with the big number of matters that EMPD was losing, doesn't speak to that. And then uniform management of discipline.
Chair, these are terms used in the broader aspect. If you look at credibility and consistency, but because of there has been in the past, they have not been credible.
Can we agree consistency, you can talk about credibility, can we agree that consistency has nothing to do with it's not a reflection?
No.
Maybe let me say it differently, there's no reflection whatsoever on losses that EMPD is suffering in
Chair,
the CCM, in the bargaining council.
Chair, we can't agree on that.
Why?
Because it's consistency of the way labor matters are dealt with and linked to credibility. In some matters, and the loss of that was because of several reasons I've been picking up. Sometimes the investigations were not done properly. There were witnesses who were supposed to have been coming through to give evidence at the last minute would pull out to intimidation.
That's not a consistency issue.
Chair, is it a consistency in respect of what we uncovered at the meeting
No,
with...
it's not a consistency issue. You lose matters not because you're not consistent. You lose because you have a poor case. What you're explaining is preparation, witnesses not appearing. Yes, you will lose cases for that reason, but that's not consistency.
Chair,
it's not a consistency issue.
There's no consistency in the quality of the work done. And there has been matters which I've come across where deliberately processes were not followed to allow the employee to come back. So there's no consistency in the quality and the processing of this information. That has led to the weaknesses that have a lot and a lot. So that is what I'm
I
trying to say.
accept that explanation.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes.
Then to go back, and I say it's very important that the content of, so for me, I was informed after the meeting of the 17th by HOD Linda and City Manager to say there's serious concerns at the EMPD. We need to look at that, we need to address the matter because Mr. Ngniza's name was also brought in as being part of a faction at the EMPD with Spies and Chief of Police Mapiyeye. And the environment was toxic. I think we've had sight of it. We should have had sight of it, if not. But that is all of the issues which, as accounting officer and responsibility with the SAPS Act, that is what the engagements continued. The BX emails came in between, or thereafter.
No, I'm not talking about the BX emails. That's a discussion between you and Ms. Ngube. All I wanted to understand is your explanation for why this came about.
Yeah.
And what she says, what she gives, what the city manager gave as a reason. I wanted you to just reconcile those.
Yes.
And I'm moving away
You're
from
moving
it.
away from
Yes.
it. No, thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Paloi. Now, Mr. Behari, if you look at the where Commissioner Paloi had left off on page 312 after the paragraph that says ushered, and you look at the steps that the city manager has now said this is the new process that will be followed. A2 refers to requests for allegations to be investigated must be submitted to HOD corporate legal upon determination of a prima facie case cause for HOD corporate legal services to confirm the allegations, consider the evidentiary matter, and submit a report to HOD Human Resources. You would agree with me there that Mr. Ngiza, as the divisional head, is excluded from this process?
Chair, I just want to, because HOD, HR and I had a discussion after that. It was not a request for allegations to be investigated. They are investigated in the departments. That's where the prima facie case is established. Yes, the document states that. But in effect, what was brought in was my role, which I discussed with the HOD, was only to receive matters, and the NCC, even the practice since then, is that I don't, request for allegations to be investigated must be, that is not for the investigation. It comes from the HODs. If there is an investigation that comes through, then we will look at that. But we look at the prima facie evidence. Request for allegations and must be submitted to HOD Corporate Legal. Yes, I've been called in terms of the added leg of compliance to say, what are you looking at, what are the allegations, and so on. Nisa was never removed from the entire process because he was still there after I would report to the HOD, HR. That would be a process for her to take forward. And it's consistent with the system of delegations of council in terms of our compliance function, my compliance function, and HOD's function from the compliance, from the HR part. So it's consistent with that aspect in terms of compliance.
Mr. Bahari, words have meaning. It says request for allegations to be investigated. It doesn't say that you review. It means that if somebody wants to investigate allegations against an employee, they must come and request from you that those allegations be investigated. So it means you must approve. They have to request. What is the purpose of a request?
Yeah, perhaps, as I said, I was not involved in the actual drafting of this document. Hence, I sought clarity from the HOD HR afterwards. Because where the party comes from is then a prima facie case. That is where that's determined at the department itself after doing the investigations. Where we come to aspect to say, but when I'm finding a document, is there further investigation required? Is there internal processes or external processes? That is where the documents I've been dealing with up to now, after this thing came up. So I don't go and give allegations. I don't deal with the things are dealt with at the departments. If they come and say to me, they come from the HOD to say, we want to proceed with this, I'll look at that and say, please proceed urgently. Those are some of the forms, but it's part of it. But the HOD already is involved in that processing of that. I will look at the evidence and then I will deal with the issue.
Okay. Now, as the head of corporate legal, is there communication in writing from you to clarify this position, or is there an addendum to this director from the city manager clarifying that we are not saying that if you want to investigate an employee, you must come and get permission from Mr. Behari? That's not what we're saying. No. Mr. Behari will simply oversee the process and make sure that a proper investigation is being undertaken. Where's that communication to somebody like Mr. Ngiza, who, by the way, you will recall, he sent a very comprehensive memorandum in response to this report. And what did you respond to? Because for you, this doesn't reflect the actual position or your understanding of what would happen. So where is your response to this?
My response is that, Chair, there's no written memo between me and the city manager, and I engaged with my colleague, being the HOD HR. There are instances when the item comes through, it comes through into a format of a set document. I would look at the evidence that's there and what is required for. There were instances when EMPD was sending through to me, even recently, we want a further urgent investigation. But the chief or the head of that will say, proceed with the investigation. And then it comes to me as an added leg to say, what else is required? Those are documents I've been signing. So there is no formal memo, written memo, but there is discussions between us senior managers to say that, but practically, how would that impact? In the end, the prima facie case referral is to the HOD of that department.
Did that discussion of senior managers include Mr. Ngiza?
Chair, I don't deal with Mr. Ngiza. It's a discussion that should have been done between him and the HOD of the department. She knows who's dealing with what aspects, who's delegated with what functions. He is the divisional head employee relations. He should have been consulted in terms of what are the aspects. I will do that too when I'm dealing with my divisional heads in terms of how we carry out the other part.
Okay, then if you look at B, appointment of presiding officers and employer representatives to run a disciplinary hearing for more serious offences. That is delegated to the HOD Human Resources after consultation with the accounting officer, Dr. Mashazi. The authority shall be exercised upon receipt of the investigation report with recommendations from the persons listed in A. Where is Mr. Ngiza in that process?
The appointment of presiding officers is nowhere, has never been, Chair, and that is one of the issues. Is the appointment of presiding officers, which is a delegated function in terms of the HOD, HR. She's responsible for disciplining across the board. The city manager has the overall delegation, and hence it was crafted in this way. Mr. Ngiza would have been taking up from either a sub-delegation from the HOD or on the directive of the HOD to say proceed with this or not. But he's not specifically here dealing with this issue. And it depends on, Mr. Ngiza is not in the directly listed in the system of delegations, October 2017.
Mr. Behari, just on those two that we've dealt with, can you put yourself in the position of Mr. Ngiza, who was really the overseer of the first disciplinary proceedings against Mr. Mkwanazi, against Brigadier Mkwanazi, that started in February 2023, which comes off the back of a Jeff Wicks article, correct?
That's correct.
Jeff Wicks seems to be a trigger for this as well, because we're talking about the anonymous email. He receives this. How is he supposed to perceive this? He's being excluded from the process. How can he not see it as an attempt to again try and protect Brigadier Mkwanazi by excluding him?
Chair, I've looked at the cumulative factors that came and led to this. Mr. Ngiza, and he's done a long letter. I've looked at the contents of the letter. Mr. Ngiza was not excluded in the process in any way. He's included. He has been the functions which are legally detailed to the HOD was reinstated to the HOD. Mr. Ngiza has been acting so far on delegations which I've discussed was ought not to have been given in that manner. But nonetheless, it was a return to the delegation functions as per the Systems Act delegations. So yes, you may believe that, but because if what has been created here totally, and for where I'm dealing with one of the issues, is that narrative to say that I'm part of the Julius Mkwanazi clan or clique, but if it's going to be using this as well, then I'm saying that there were some things that took place before that. It starts off with the huge complaint by EMPD, and that is where Mr. Ngiza was also referenced by certain officers as being part of a clique, and that is where you're talking about city managers and addressing it to say, no, we need credible, we need a consistent, or we need processes, which we're not putting the HR space and our legal processes at risk. So if he believes that for me, it's something reverting to the original legal position in the city, and then he still has that relationship as an employee relations he gets from the HOD HR in any event.
But where's his due process? Because you are accusing him of certain allegations which, according to you, culminates as part of the reason why this directive is being issued. He doesn't get engaged as to why are the costs so high? Why are we losing so many cases? He's not involved in that process. He wakes up to a directive that says on page 313 of that document, all that you are going to do now as the divisional head is under I. And that is handling of step 3 of the grievance procedure. All step 3 grievances should be submitted to the office of the HOD for coordination through my office, and inquiring a register is kept. Persons responsible, the head of department, human resource management and development, the divisional head, employee relations. On all the steps taken in the disciplinary process, he's only delegated that. How is that possible for a senior person, an HR specialist, to be minimized to only deal with grievances, and you want to suggest that it had nothing to do with a trigger event being the anonymous email?
from my side, this culminated from the reports of the EMPD officers calling for a meeting. Because if that was the case, if the problem was as at proceeding with the matter as at May, June, that would have been addressed at that stage. If it was removing functions from him because of that incident. This matter here came through, there was a trigger off, which I could see was from the 17th of August. There was no functions given to the city manager, by the city manager to anybody which were not contained in the system of delegations. So it was a reversion to the authorized system of delegations, which and I maintain, Mr. Ngiza had no such powers in the first place. As a divisional head, everything reverts to, in terms of the process in the HR department, to the HOD, generally in terms of, unless he's received a special delegation where his name is listed for a function. If the city manager had taken that away from him, then that would have been illegal.
Okay, so your evidence when you said that you don't decide whether to go ahead with disciplinary proceedings, remember that was in the context of you saying that it was just an added step of compliance. And I asked you, so if there's tension between what the HOD wants to do and what you ultimately come to a conclusion should be done, you said you don't get to decide that. But if you look at what it says about the investigation, it does suggest that you decide whether allegations will even be investigated. In other words, you get to decide whether disciplinary proceedings are even triggered.
Chair, and I'm saying that the discussions then between myself and HOD, that is why HODs up to now come and they do the investigations. I have 3 columns that I look at in terms of that. Is there further investigations required to complete and ensure that we are covering ourselves on all bases? Or can it be something of a nature that we can proceed immediately with an internal disciplinary process? Or do we need to go for a tribunal? Looking at that aspect documents, I then recommend to the HOD to say, yes, I believe that there should be further investigation and so on. I do not decide on whether it's going to go ahead or not.
Can I just check this? That paragraph 8.2 that you're discussing now, where requests for investigations must be submitted to you, this new arrangement is in August 2023, and then IPID report is in September.
Yes, it's signed September, but served in the city in November.
Okay, I think it doesn't matter. The point is it's after this new arrangement in place. So you would have been, according to A2, you would have been the one to authorize an investigation before disciplinary action was instituted against Brigadier Mkhwanazi, if there was compliance with the IPID directive. How would you do that?
I just want to, you mean to institute disciplinary action?
Well, A2 says, requests for allegations to be investigated must be submitted to you. For you to confirm the allegations, consider the evidentiary material and submit a report to the HOD. So what I'm checking with you is, according to this A2, if there had been implementation of the IPID report, which was still outstanding at that time, right? The city manager knew that IPID was conducting an investigation. That's according to the evidence before us. I don't know what you knew at the time. But you would have, this A2 would have landed you on your desk with whatever material was going to be presented at the disciplinary hearing for you to confirm the allegations, to consider the evidentiary material, and then to submit a report to Human Resources.
No, sir, not in external regulatory bodies. IPID is a law enforcement agency. Similar to the SRU, similar to public protector and so on. Those reports, when they come through, we have the option to consider. I consider all the reports, and then we decide what is the next route. Do we go and review? Do we address them for further to get more information? and that has been happening, the process.
No.
This was for the
Yeah.
internal processes.
Okay. Let's take out a review of the IPID report, because we know you did not do that. And we know the MMC, you drafted a letter where the MMC, in fact, forget the letter, you say the MMC said to you that the report must be implemented, right? So we are at a point where there's supposed to be disciplinary action, because that is what is directed should happen. And the MMC has said that must happen. You must implement that report. So what I'm checking with you is A2. In terms of A2, you would have been the one that looks at the allegations for disciplinary charges. So someone would have had to prepare a charge sheet, because this is now in place by the time you get the IPID report.
Chair, this process laid out here is for all internal matters. IPID matter, being an external matter with a directive and recommendation and so on, would go, and MMC says implement, it would then go to the functioning, being the head of department and the HR department to continue with that. We looked at as to say that what are the legal ramifications or concerns that we could have, and then, but it's unrelated to this document.
So you're saying Chief Mapieye would have been entitled with Mr. Ngwiza to carry on and get whatever necessary approvals from Ms. Kasheka, and you would not be reviewing the evidentiary material?
Not for the external part. We looked at the review or not even a review, to look at what are the challenges that we could have, but that's from a different compliance perspective. It doesn't impact upon that issue or the process of Chief Mapieye.
So you would not have become involved
No.
in the disciplinary action, that's what you're saying?
No.
This was not going to apply to the IPIDs directly?
It would not, yes.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Ms. Lee.
Thank you, Commissioner Baloy. Can we then go to page 30 of Mr. Ngwiza's statement, which deals with the second anonymous email? And paragraph 98 of his statement.
Yes, thank you, I have it.
He then says, on 2 September 2023, a further email was received from Kliki Kliki. This email was longer than the first one and went into some detail implicating of Dr. Mashazi in shielding Brigadier Mkwanazi from his disciplinary proceedings. Kliki Kliki even mentioned that my powers to do my work had been restricted in order to protect Brigadier Mkwanazi, and he then attaches it. He then says, on the 7th of September 2023, so 5 days later, I was served with a pre-suspension letter and suspended soon thereafter. What was your involvement in his pre-suspension in light of the new directive that had been issued on the 22nd of August 2023?
Okay, on his pre-suspension letter, there was a complaint that came through from Mexu. That was a criminal complaint lodged by Mexu to the police. It was being investigated by the Detective Sergeant Madubani.
You say it was a complaint from?
From Mexu. Mexu is it's a union, a minority union in the city of Ekurhuleni, where they raised a criminal complaint on fraud in terms of his qualifications. The police officer was investigating the matter. He came and saw the HOD HR. I was called into the meeting because when it comes to police officers and dealing with them, I come through to see what is actually needed. There was a subpoena issued and we proceeded there. Then that pre-suspension was as a result of that. I didn't involve myself in that pre-suspension letter that would have been created by the HOD HR.
But would there have been a decision prior to the issuing of the suspension letter that the allegations must be investigated? There would have been a request for these allegations to be investigated that resulted in the pre-suspension, which is now within your domain because the request must come to you.
There was already a police investigation. There was a criminal case that was open. There was already investigated by the police office. In the course of that, the HOD then requested for verification.
Let us indicate when you can come back. Sorry for stopping you, Mr. Assistant.
Good afternoon, we're back. Good afternoon, we're back. We're just about to start. Kindly put off your cell phones. Thank you.
Mr. Behari, I hope you still remember where you were, or do you want to be prompted by a question?
Yeah, please. I think, I hope Commissioner Baloyi is feeling better. Please.
Thank you, Chair. We were dealing with your involvement in the events leading up to the pre-suspension notice to Mr. Ngqiza. We're talking about a police investigation. I'm not
Yes,
sure what the relevance of that was here.
So the matter of reported by Mexu to SAPS. SAPS were busy with the police investigation. In the course of that investigation, they subpoenaed the HOD for documents. So when the HOD was subpoenaed, I actually wanted to know what is she entitled to do, because we have certain, looking at other legislation, POPIA and so on. And I said to her that POPIA would not apply because of the subpoena, so let's give them the information that they require. So we were in that meeting with Madhubanya. So thereafter, triggered from that, HOD wrote to him to say, please give us your qualifications, what information. Then there was a response. As I don't have that full information with me, because I didn't go beyond that in terms of the entire process from there on.
Okay, so there was no request for investigation in terms of the directive that came to you?
Well, the request for investigation wouldn't come to me. As I mentioned, the informal process or the communication because HOD and I. So I would not, there was already an investigation underway by a criminal complaint from Mexu on that matter. What would have come to me, HOD would have been taking the one because she's then acted on that and got letters. Remember, the HOD is ultimate authority in terms of that. So she acted on that and wrote to Ngqiza to get all the information. That is when the process took its course.
Okay, thank you.
If you don't mind, Mr. Behari, just increase your volume. I think your sound has dropped a little bit, so we can barely hear you this side.
Yeah, I think it's been covered by the files here.
That's fine.
Perhaps please pull the mics closer to you.
Mr. Behari, am I correct that sometime in 2024, around March, your role changed from being head of legal to now being head of risk and legal?
Yes, Chair.
Yes, I'm not asking.
I'll
for
say
an
yes, but
explanation.
there's still some issues being addressed in that
Yes.
matter.
And your responsibility became to advise Ekurhuleni not just on legal matters, but also on risk. So things like legal risk and reputational risk, that was now your responsibility.
Yes.
Yes. Now, from September, let's say November, because you said the IPID report was only sent to Ekurhuleni around October, November, but it was signed in September. From November 2023 until December 2025, when you were suspended, did Ekurhuleni take any action against Julius Mkhwanazi?
Not that I'm aware. I think there was action taken.
He was suspended in December after
Yes.
testimony in this commission.
Yes, he was
Yes.
suspended in December 2025, but he was suspended as a result of the action being taken by the city, arising out of questions posed by the Premier.
Yes.
So that is the process that unfolded through the Chief Audit Executive Office. They went through the report to Council, and that is the process. I was not part of that.
Let me put the question another way. From November 2023 until you were suspended in December 2025, did you ever advise the city of Ekurhuleni to take disciplinary action against Julius Mkhwanazi?
No, I did not, because Chair, in terms of the risk function, and the risk function speaks overall. It speaks about overall for the organization-wide risk. Those matters were being addressed at different departments at different junctures. So overall risk from that part, from when I was dealing with that from 2024, I would look at the risk matrix. What are the risk reports that have to be done? Where are the different issues of risk? So in terms of then, there was processes, one that stalled, processes with the...
Mr. Behari, please don't take me to processes. My question was, did you? And your answer is no, you did not.
No, I did not, Chair.
Yes,
As I said,
so-
it was not an aspect focusing only on the one issue. The risk function focuses on a whole lot of issues.
That is
and there are templates for that. Thank you, Chair.
That is fine. Yes. I've just handed you a document, and it is a transcript, yes, of the evidence of Dr. Mashazi on the 1st of December 2025.
Yes, Chair.
I had engaged her on the promotion of Julius Mkhwanazi. You will recall that until December 2023, he was a brigadier,
Yes.
and he was responsible for corporate services, one of the divisions there. And then from December, he was promoted to Deputy Chief of Police. Remember that?
Yes.
Yes. And the engagement between myself and Dr. Mashazi was, how can Ekurhuleni, in the face of the investigation by Erasmus and the investigation by IPID, reward Julius Mkhwanazi with a promotion? And she told this commission that Mkhwanazi had been cleared and there was no investigation against him, and there was no finding of wrongdoing against him, and for that reason, there was no reason why Ekurhuleni should not have promoted him. So if you go to page 105 of 268, you'll see it's numbered at the bottom of the page.
That's correct, Chair.
Are you there?
Yes.
From paragraph 10 of that page where it says audio clip played back. Do you see that?
I see that, Chair.
Just take a moment to read that entire section.
Aloud or... wouldn't-
It's fine, you can read it loud.
The IPID report for us was very big, and I was unable to discipline anyone. We had to take that IPID report to our investigation. We appointed an independent investigator through the internal audit, and the report was out. We will share the report with you so that you can start disciplining people. I'm not sure. So from that report, the acting chief of police has done nothing wrong. He is cleared. So IPID, they say, can go ahead if they want to arrest him, but if they think he is wrong, because they are police officers, but from our side, in terms of the DC and investigation, there is nothing wrong that the acting chief of police has done. He has been cleared by our report, and for that, as long as there is nothing that they are doing from their side, if they believe that he is wrong, then there is nothing I can do as an accounting officer. He reports to me, even as the chief of police, who is on the suspension, he reports to me. If there is any wrongdoing on it from his side, I must do my own investigation. And I must also subject that person to a DC. I cannot subject my officers to a DC based on a report that I myself do not understand, because I had to take it to legal, and legal analyze the report and refer the report to internal audit.
Yes. So you see, she uses the word cleared twice in that clip, and she says Mkhwanazi was cleared. Do you agree that Mkhwanazi was cleared?
Mkhwanazi was not cleared by us as
Who cleared him?
If I'm looking at this, I'm not sure when or the date of that clip, Chair, but she talks to a report of internal audit. The only report of internal audit that I am aware of was done as a result of the BXBX emails, where they was to investigate something else. So in no way do I believe that that report specifically cleared Julius Mkhwanazi or anybody else. What it did say was the process, there seemed to be, they couldn't find who drafted the documents. They did suggest that Julius must send, Mkhwanazi must send through a complaint to the information regulator, and they also commented on the fruitless and wasteful expenditure and not following of the process. But
So she was incorrect when she said there's a report that cleared Julius Mkhwanazi.
she would have been incorrect because there were findings, and that is very clear. That the audit report doesn't say we clear in that specific terms Julius Mkhwanazi.
And on 106, towards the bottom, just before the sentence that starts with thank you, now she's referring to the IPID report, and she says, I cannot subject my officers to a DC based on a report that I myself do not understand because I had to take it to legal, and legal analyze the report. That was you.
Is she talking to the report of IPID, or she's talking to the forensic report?
No, she's talking to the IPID report.
Yeah.
She's already said the forensic report cleared him. So she's referring to the IPID report.
So I never cleared, no one cleared out the documents that we've been dealing with in terms of the letter to IPID, but no one gave any instructions.
Ms. Berry, why do you not answer the question? I say that is you. When she says, I took the report to legal and legal analyzed the report, and I've already told you she's referring to an IPID report. I'm saying legal is you.
It's correct.
Yes. And she said she couldn't understand this report. That's why she could not act on it. But you in fact, in your response to this report, said it is vague, it does not support the charges against Mkhwanazi, and you criticized IPID. That's all you did.
Yes, Chair, it was part of the discussion in the letter we had framed or prepared. So all of the issues that were raised there was discussed with her, and that is hence the vagueness came in for us to clarify certain aspects with IPID. But it was not about clearing Mkhwanazi in any respect. There is no way we told him he's cleared. We're dealing with the IPID report, and as per the letter and the evidence now, that is what we discussed with her.
But then, as part of your duties at head of risk and legal, why did you not say to the city manager, we have an obligation to charge Mkhwanazi because that's the directive of IPID?
But the process of charging was already processed in terms of the directive of IPID. The letter that we looked at was to deal with exactly what are the fraud and corruption aspects.
No, I don't understand you. I'm asking you a simple question. Why did you not advise the city manager that IPID has directed that Mkhwanazi should be charged? But therefore, you have an obligation to charge him.
Chair, but it was a process already underway. Accepted as that because of the IPID report.
Maybe before you answer, Mr. Behari, in that same document, if you would look at page 93, in that same document, look at page 93, and
yes,
then
Chair.
from line 7, she says, I refer the document to HOD Legal, who later informed me that the document is incomplete, and he has advised chief or whatever that they cannot take action on this document. Rather, let them do the internal investigation. So take that into account in your answer.
Is this related now to, I don't know if she's confusing the issue of the internal report, because on respect to the IPID report.
The discussion with Commissioner Kumalo is about the IPID report.
The IPID report.
Yes.
Yes. So what she says here is, you said on line 7.
Mr. Behari, you can see she's referring to the IPID report because in line 3, that's what it says. Even when you look at the IPID report, I do not know, I have it somewhere, where they write to him to implement or to discipline Julius. So from my point, I did something as an accounting officer by referring it because it is a legal document. I referred the document to HOD Legal, that is you, who later informed me that the document is incomplete and he has advised chief or whatever that they cannot take action on this document. I mean, that is clear advice to the city manager. The city can take action on this document, rather let them do the internal investigation.
Chair, I do not give such an advice to city manager because I never engaged with chief of police on this. Hence I asked if it was the previous one or not. That's the only other one I engaged with chief report was the internal affairs. I didn't engage with chief of police on this matter. So
no,
hence I'm saying...
We're talking about the city manager. Mr. Behari, please stop doing that. We're talking about the city manager. She says you informed her that the document is incomplete, and you advised chief or somebody, she doesn't know, that the city cannot take action on this document, which is the IPID report. Rather, they should do an internal investigation.
Chair, as I'm saying, Chair, that is not my advice to the city manager. The engagement with the city manager was that we are addressing certain vague issues in the report as per the letters that we went out. There was, and when she said he has advised chief or whatever, I didn't advise anybody for another internal investigation. I just spoke to the city manager about what were the concerns raised as per our engagements internally. And those are the only issues. I never gave city manager any advice to the extent that we said there must be another internal investigation.
So she was not truthful in her evidence.
If that is the case, she would have been mistaken or not truthful, but
Okay.
not according to what I gave her.
Okay, and then did you advise that an internal investigation be done?
I did not, Chair, because there was already an IPID investigation. I did not for another internal investigation now, because IPID investigation was already done.
Did you tell the city manager what is contained in page, remember that document which is a draft report to IPID? Is that what you said to her about the IPID report?
Page 21 of our letter.
I think it's 324. We don't have to go there. You know the document I'm talking about. The draft report to IPID or the draft response to IPID.
Yes.
What is contained in that document? Your attitude to the IPID report.
I discussed the content of that letter. So it
Is
would have
that what
included
you
everything.
told the city
It would
manager?
have included the entire document.
That the charges are not sustainable?
We believe the charges are not sustainable. Yes, correct.
So then how can you expect a city manager to proceed to charge Julius Mkhwanazi if you yourself told her that the charges are not sustainable?
Because of the process, we're still embarking to clarify it, but I did tell her that, yes. Chair.
Yeah, but if the charges are not sustainable, you cannot charge Julius Mkhwanazi.
But I explained to her what the process is. So at that stage, it is not sustainable, but we are engaging with the IPID to get clarity on aspects.
But you never engaged with IPID. You said so yourself that the letter never went out and you never followed up to ensure that it goes out.
Yes,
So
whenever-
in fact, you blocked the process because you didn't engage with IPID. You told city manager that you are engaging with IPID. That's how the process will go forward. And then you never engaged with IPID, which means you stopped any chance of Mkhwanazi being disciplined.
Chair, I never engaged with IPID because we were in the process of taking the letters to IPID to clarify what are we going to address. So I never engaged with IPID. I never blocked any process.
Advocate Behari, we are now looking backwards. We're not looking forward. We are 2 years later. We're looking back. You did not engage with IPID, which means it is you. You said to the city manager, the process will be, I will engage with IPID. But you did not do that. So the process stopped because you did not do what you told the city manager you were going to do.
Chair, what I said to the city manager was, in terms of the content of our letter, which was speaking on fraud and corruption, it was not talking about stopping the disciplinary process, which was addressed to Chief Papier. The issues that I raised with city manager on the fraud of corruption was we were in the process of dealing with the issues, and I said to her, this is what the content of our letter is.
I repeat myself, how can they charge Mkhwanazi when you have said to them the charges are not sustainable?
Chair, the issues we raised in terms of that, if they want to charge them in terms of what IPID says, it was a directive from IPID to that. Of course, later on we said it's a recommendation and we had our discussion on that. But I said to the city manager that we are engaging to clarify these issues. This is why it is vague at this stage. It's not about stopping any issues of proceeding to charge Mkhwanazi.
Thank you. I'm going to leave it there.
If you, head of legal, say to the city manager, there is no merit, these allegations, because the formulation of the charge is based on facts. There are certain facts. In your long letter, you have given a response. You say to IPID, this letter that never goes out, you say to IPID, Mkhwanazi did nothing wrong. That's really what you've done. You say Mzolo gave him tasks to do, right? And then Mkhwanazi is telling you that when he put forward the MOU and he put the donation letter forward, it was all on, accepted the donation, It was all in execution of his tasks, that's one.
Yeah.
Two, you say he didn't register vehicles. Stain registered those vehicles. So Mkwanazi has nothing to do with that. It's always been the practice to receive donations. Stain explains that. So Mkwanazi did nothing wrong. So Mkwanazi sent the MOU to the chief of police, and the chief of police, the fault of the chief of police that it was not completed and signed. So in that long letter, you basically say Mkwanazi did nothing wrong. You answer to the facts. He did nothing wrong. Now, how would you, and that's what you tell the city manager. That response is given to the city manager. That's what you tell her. How could she, and Chief Mapiaye, when he becomes aware of this, but forget him for the purpose of what I'm putting to you, how could the city manager then take disciplinary steps against Mkwanazi if you, head of legal, have given responses why what IPD is saying is unsustainable? Because remember, IPD is saying he's guilty, he's committed to this conduct. You say he didn't. Look at the authorization that he had when he was acting. Look at Stain, what Stain says. Look at the practice. Look at what the chief of police failed to do. That's that's an answer from you. On what basis would the city manager then proceed to charge him?
Chair, the issues of which I've raised in the letter was not about IPID or to finding that Julius Mkwanazi did not do anything. It was about consideration of, in the IPID report, consideration of the affidavit of Julius Mkwanazi, where he said he was given this authority. If you had gone there and then done an extended investigation and found that there was no such authority, it was concretized our case, Chair. So it's not about saying that we're finding that Julius Mkwanazi did not do anything. He raised in his affidavit to say, I was given these positions, I was dealing with this MOUs, I was dealing with these issues. And the issue through IPID was then, but have you considered the substance of what Mkwanazi was doing?
You don't just say, have you considered? You actually say he did nothing wrong. And I'll read you a paragraph randomly. In that letter, at paragraph 6, you say, at the time of the vehicle registration, the benefit of in brackets, you say getting more vehicles, would have accrued to the city had the deal been approved. The cost incurred in the registration was a step forward, was a step towards obtaining the benefit on behalf of the city. It will be challenging to argue that the registration costs constitute prejudice to the city. The registration costs should not be viewed in isolation, but as part of the entire process of acquiring the benefit on behalf of the city. So your theme throughout is, no, but this was to the benefit of the city. You say that, no. And it doesn't matter whether it's criminal or disciplinary process. You, head of legal, are saying this whole transaction was for the benefit of the city. He did nothing wrong.
Chair.
And you tell that to the city manager. How can the city manager charge him for that? For registering these vehicles, for incurring the cost of registering these vehicles?
Chair, as if the donation had completed legally, the intention was very clear to have benefited the city. That is what we were speaking to. It wasn't about him.
It wasn't to benefit the city. The vehicles were never going to be transferred to the city. We've looked at the MOU. Don't reprise what that MOU says. We've looked at it. We've looked at all those documents. We've had Brigadier Mkwanazi here. Those vehicles were never intended to come to the city. They remained with Mr. Madlanga's company because that was the intention. They were never intended. So they were going to be driven, and it happened that way. They continued to be used by Mr. Madlanga's people, not your city. So there's no benefit that came out of it to the city. The MOU contains nothing that says these will come to the city. You say there's nothing wrong with all of that. And you say that to the city manager. So what I'm putting to you is when the city manager says, I was advised by head of legal that there's no merit or the complaints are unsustainable, and so I could not discipline, forget her motives, and I couldn't discipline, there's nothing wrong in her saying that, because her head of legal has expressed the views that he has expressed in this letter.
Yes.
Yes.
So I have expressed that view, Chair, and I said and the document details why. Now, in respect of, you say it was never intended to, at the stage when we considered that report, there was no linkage to say that it was never intended for. The only issue we picked up even from the initiation was it was a donation to the city. A donation then will speak to a document or vehicles or whatever the donation item would be, being transferred to and being used by the city. So if there was an intention never to transfer the vehicles or never to bring it back to allow to be used by elsewhere, I don't see that anywhere in that chair. Specifically mentioned. But if it is a donation, understanding that part from a donation, that would have covered that the city would be the ones benefiting.
You see, we're having this discussion with you. We've had the benefit of the evidence of Brigadier Mkhwanazi even, and the documents that are involved in this. And from that evidence, from that evidence, we know that it was never the intention to deliver the vehicles to the city. We know that. They were always going to remain with Mr. Madlanga.
Okay.
That is the evidence, right? You say that was to the benefit of the city, because that's what you're saying. In fact, you say, on the contrary, again, I pick another random paragraph. You say it is difficult to see how CAT benefited from the registration of the vehicles as they transferred ownership of their vehicles to the city. Well, he benefited because he was driving around in unmarked vehicles that when they are checked on the system, they are known to be EMPD vehicles. So they opened doors for him to go wherever he wanted under the name of the EMPD. And then you say, on the contrary, CAT sustained a loss of assets while the vehicles were registered in the name of the city. There's no basis for you to say that. He always had control of these vehicles. The city is the one that stood to benefit, particularly considering that EMPD had a shortage of vehicles and there seemed to be no effort from the chief of police and senior management to address this. The purpose of the vehicle registration was to increase the number of vehicles to be used by the EMPD. There's no facts for you to say that. There was no facts whatsoever, not from the documents, not from anything that Brigadier Mkhwanazi said, because in that warning statement that you pulled out, the warning statement, it does say that they returned, they were never delivered to the city, right? So I don't know what facts you were relying on when you say they would have increased the vehicles to be used by the EMPD, because they never came to the EMPD.
In that,
but don't lose sight of what this part of the discussion is.
Yeah.
This part of the discussion that Commissioner Khumalo started with you is that you advised the city manager, you spoke to the city manager. She saw this long letter, but you also had a discussion with her. So when she says, my head of legal says that the complaints or the allegations against Brigadier Mkhwanazi are not sustainable, she's right. That's what you've said.
Chair,
she's right. You said that to her.
Chair, on two aspects. The first one is, at the time we considered the document, Mkhwanazi's evidence, of course, was not there. We considered the document purely looking at the IPOD report, and we crafted our response in that regard. So yes.
But you also had his statement, warning statement, because if you didn't have the warning statement, then it raises another question. When you say to IPID you didn't consider Mkhwanazi's statement, what would you have been referring to, right? So you must have had sight. Otherwise, you're commenting on incomplete information.
We did have sight, and hence that is the document we refer to here. When Commissioner Khumalo mentioned the other document from this is why we had the insight. We asked him, did you consider the impact of that? Because in the documents what was contained there, it's referred to functions continuing to deal with the issue of functions given to him by Mzolo, which included the drafting of the MOUs, and for looking at then the donations issued. So that in that statement of his linked to the IPED report, it spoke about donations. So when you say it was not transferred, the vehicle was transferred into the name of City of
They were
Ekurhuleni.
never given to the city. They were never available to EMPD to use. And the MOU does not say they were going to be delivered to the city. That's the simple point I'm making, and that's a fact. The
Sure.
MOU, if you read that MOU, and I'm hoping that when you expressed these views here, you had considered all the documents, and that would include the MOU. And if you did read that MOU does not say they will be given to the city, right? It says they will remain with CAT VIP, those vehicles.
Yes, Chair, the MOU stated that. But in terms of and this is why we asked with regards to the IPED report. If you look at paragraph 11 of his document, CAT VIP would donate 4 vehicles which would be registered under City of Ekurhuleni to be utilized by EMPD officers. Okay. So when he came here and said no, it was used by them, at that stage when we crafted this document, there was no such thing before us. And
I accept that. We can move.
Thank you. And then come back then to Commissioner Kumalo. So
Yes.
the basis of us informing was based on the consideration of that, where we come to the letter that was drafted, and I would have informed City Manager based on this. There are issues that are vague, which we will be addressing.
So,
And these issues that are vague, I don't see what is vague in the IPIT letter, and you and I had that discussion yesterday. When you say they are vague, there are issues that are vague, and you tell the city manager, and she relies on that not to institute disciplinary proceedings, because that's her interest, right?
Yeah.
Her interest is not in the criminal case. Her interest is that disciplinary action be taken. What the DPP does is a different process altogether. It's an IPIT DPP process. Your organization's role in this, and that's why I don't understand why you wrote this letter, but the role of your organization arising from the IPID investigation and report to you is the directive to institute disciplinary proceedings. It's the one thing you don't address because you say it's with Mapia, but you go and comment to the city manager to say these charges are not sustainable.
Yeah. Chair, we crafted that on the basis, and said even from yesterday, the functions that were given to us is to look at the fraud and corruption part. We focused on that issue. There was no link to the HR processes in any way in the document. We focused on the fraud and corruption for our processes going forward with impact and so on. In that, because you're dealing with a holistic document, we analyzed the report of IPID, and those were the issues we found would be vague in terms of what we still needed to address.
Was it your initiative to analyze the report, to analyze the fraud and corruption part of this report? Did
Yes.
you, without prompting, choose to do that?
Chair, yes, city manager would give us can we look at the criminal aspects of this issue?
No, she did not do that because in your statement you don't say that. In your statement you tell us what she said to you. So she didn't say to you.
In her statement, or in my statement, sir?
In your statement, I'll read, I think, Ms. Ngube, if you could refer us to that paragraph. You do tell us what she said to you, and it has nothing to do with what you end up doing. I'll find it. We looked at it yesterday. I put it to you yesterday. Yes, here, if you look at your paragraph 181, of your statement, you say the city manager requested that the Legal Services Department prepare a draft response acknowledging receipt of the report and addressing certain technical issues that IPID had not clarified, including The status of matters referred to the Director of Public Prosecutions for decision. We know your letter doesn't do that. The scope and confidentiality of the report. We know your letter doesn't do that. The distinction between preliminary investigative observations and findings capable of immediate implementation. Your letter doesn't do that. So you do tell us what the instruction from the city manager was. And
Yes, Chair.
this suggests that you went and did your own investigation of the charges.
It's not the investigation, Chair. It's an assessment of what is contained in that report.
Yeah, that was your initiative.
So-
it
so
didn't
in
come
it-
from the city manager.
Yes, so we briefed the city manager on that and said, so before we move forward, we had to clarify all of the issues. So that is what the extent of it was.
Before you move forward with doing what?
With-
Because remember the letter from IPID is very specific. It asks only of one thing. Ask one thing of you, which when I say you, I mean the city. It's institute disciplinary proceedings. So when you say we need to clarify before we go forward, what is the going forward to?
The going forward to deal with the other issues she's raised, Chair, which is in terms of, okay, the classification watch, it was already there, but at least on the evidence that we would be requiring to move forward in terms of first clarifying the fraud and corruption, that seems to be instrumental as well to the criminal aspects we were looking at, and for our own interest in terms of the impact and counsel. It would have also had an overlay into the disciplinary processes because of the evidence that was required. So that is what the basis
So to
was to
say that
clarify.
last part about the disciplinary process, you say
It would have had a leg in terms of the evidence being tested. As we got a response from that aspect, it would have had a leg on the disciplinary as well.
so. If you got the answers that you were looking for, you are saying that would also feed into the disciplinary process.
It would feed into disciplinary.
Okay, thank you.
Advocate Behar,
Let us adjourn and resume at 2:10.
1, 2. I don't mean to break up the party there, but we're about to start. Please switch off your cell phones. We are ready to start. Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Sigers-Nube.
Thank you, Chair. May I proceed, Chair? Thank you.
Yes, please.
Mr. Behari, there's just two loose ends that I want to tie up with you. The one relates to your repeated refrain about how the IPID report was addressed to Chief Mapiyeye, and he was the one that had to go ahead with the disciplinary proceedings, so that there was the directive that he must initiate those proceedings. Now, I just want to discuss that with you within the context of when that directive comes. You know, it comes after the 22 August 2023 change of delegation. And importantly, it also comes at a time when Mr. Ngiza is on suspension, correct?
Yes, I think so.
And so I just want to understand from you, how was Chief Mapiyeye supposed to initiate those disciplinary proceedings? Because we know by now that the first disciplinary proceedings had been withdrawn, the investigation had been withdrawn, which effectively means the charges had been withdrawn by June 2023. So how was he going to get these charges or initiate these disciplinary proceedings in light of that new directive, the delegation matrix, on your version? How was he going to do that?
Chair, he would have to engage with the HOD, HR. So remember, all the disciplinaries in the city, even after that letter, and the system of delegations, the HODs were still, HR was still ultimately responsible for disciplinary proceedings. So the HOD, being Chief of Police, will engage with that HOD.
And you are, of course, aware of the allegation by Ms. Ngiza and Mr. Chief Mapiyeye that Ms. Gasheka was part of the clique that was trying to protect Brigadier Mkwanazi.
Yeah, I think I couldn't avoid that allegation even from the outset. It is there. The clique was mentioned.
Yes. So can you appreciate the difficulty that he would have been confronted with in not initiating those proceedings without, at the very least, even if you had to apply this new delegation matrix, if it is a directive from IPID that says institute proceedings, the disciplinary proceedings, would he still have to come in terms of that new matrix to request for an investigation to be done?
Chair, if it's linked to the maybe not having any confidence in HOD Linda because of the being identified in a clique, there are other processes available to him. Remember, it comes from the MMC Masuku who received the documents. He could have went to MMC and said, I don't trust the city manager, I don't trust HOD HR, and I don't trust HOD legal. So what is the further option? So MMC could have taken down his complaint and proceeded. But you cannot say that because I believe you're in a clique, we're not going to take the process forward. There's options available if you have that problem.
Okay, and then insofar as the 22 August 2023 matrix, delegation matrix concern, you mentioned a meeting that happens on the 17th of August when I asked you what preceded the 22 August matter or delegation matrix. Chief Mapiyeye says that there's something that happens even before the 17 August meeting. If I could just ask you to briefly go to his statement on page 28. At paragraph 104. Page 28, paragraph 104. Are you there?
Yes, I'm there, Chair.
So he says at 104, on 15 August 2023, I delivered to the city manager the letter of intent to institute proceedings regarding the precious stone theft allegedly committed by members of the EMPD who were reporting directly to Brigadier Mkwanazi. When I delivered it to her, she challenged me on the fact that the letter does not make any reference to Brigadier Mkwanazi and neither does he appear in the attached pictures. She suggested that I was persecuting Brigadier Mkwanazi and was biased towards him and threatened to suspend me with immediate effect. She immediately corrected herself and told me that she was actually suspending me with immediate effect. On 17 August 2023, the city manager called a meeting at which she claimed the department was dysfunctional and having at the conclusion of which she stated that she had decided that I shall take special leave with immediate effect so that I can clear my head, rest and come back neutral with no bias. I was placed on 30 days leave. See that?
Yes, Chair.
All of this happens just before the 22nd of August. So we've got the 15th of August. He comes with new charges that he's got against Brigadier Mkwanazi. The 17th, that meeting happens. Then it's the anonymous email on the 20th, and the 22nd of August 2023 is the new delegation. Have you had any regard to the fact that these could also have been factors in what motivated the delegation, the new delegation matrix?
Chair, I became aware when I received the letter of demand from, I think it was the attorney's firm, on the precious stones. I'm not so aware of what happened prior to that in the discussions, but yes, I only became aware after that as regards the meeting held with the other officers. The discussions between on the special leave and so on happened between Chief of Police, City Manager, and HOD HR. I accepted it to be arising out of the complaints, which I believe were serious, in the 17th, the meeting of the 17th. So at the meeting, I think it's important that, I mean, it's on record now, so you can go through that. But there were several issues raised, and I understood then, I think it was around the next day or so, that I was called in terms of a service of a letter of leave, special leave. And I understood it to be that he had requested to be placed on leave. He could not have any days leave left, and the only option apart from unpaid leave was special leave. So that is the only aspect I dealt with it from there.
Mr. Barry, Mr. Barry, this meeting on the 17th of August, earlier when you were discussing this change in disciplinary steps, who takes what decision, you referred to a meeting where there were complaints, there were camps, and there were complaints, including against Mr. Ngiza. Is this meeting of the 17th of August?
Yeah, the 17th of August, there seemed to be a meeting between Chief of Police and City Manager, which I'm not aware of, Chair. But the meeting I'm talking about, there was a meeting 17th where the complaints were coming from EMPD.
Yes, my question is about the second, the latter.
Okay.
The meeting where everyone was present, where there were camps. I think that's how you described it. So there were camps, you described it that way. That's a meeting of the 17th of August.
Yes.
You were present in that meeting?
No, I was not.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. No further questions from me.
Thank you, Ms. Sigel.
Mr. Behari, very quickly, can we go to that document that I asked you to look at? It is the transcript of Dr. Mashazi's evidence, the very last page.
No, I think I understand now why you called me Mr. Mashazi yesterday, Chair. You seem to be fixated on that.
Do you see now? So, Mr. Barry, are you there?
Yes, Chair.
Because From paragraph 9, maybe just take time and read paragraph 9 to 17.
Sorry, Chair, just to quickly the date, the page again?
The last page.
Oh, okay.
So it will be page 110 of 268.
Yes, Chair.
Are you there?
Yes, sir.
From paragraph 9, Dr.
Yes.
Mashazi, start there until where she stops, just before Advocate Sillo.
Yes, Chair.
Just read it loud, please.
The report was fully analyzed by corporate and legal. Hence, I can allow Advocate Kemi to come and talk to the report and also talk to his opinion about the report. And I indicated at the beginning of my response that if I was ill-advised or given an opinion that is not sustainable from the department, can we therefore allow Advocate Kemi to come and speak to the report? That is all I'm asking.
Yes. So it's quite clear that she relied on your opinion.
On that report that we drafted, or
Yes.
me?
Yes.
Yes, on
And-
both
and-
aspects.
And she says if that opinion was wrong and she was ill-advised, you must come and talk to that because she relied on it.
Chair, yes, she's my accounting officer. I'm the head of legal.
Yeah.
If I discuss the report with her and if it's incorrect
Yeah.
in terms of what she says, then of course I must talk.
So at least she has a defense. Her defense is, my head of legal said these charges are not sustainable. I relied on that.
No, correct, Chair.
So it's for the head of legal to now come and defend his opinion.
Yes, Chair.
Yes.
That is the letter of, we were talking about the draft letter.
Yes.
All right, so,
Yeah. And
So
then finally, sorry, I may have interrupted you. You wanted to say something?
no, I'm just saying, Chair, that is what the input with Dr. Mashazi was, was based on the drafted letter from the city of, from us, from the legal department.
All right. And now, to be fair to you, we have a witness that's going to be giving evidence after you, and it's Mr. Shega. You are familiar with her. She was HOD for...
Yes, I
Yes.
am.
And she has prepared a statement for the commission. We've had the opportunity to read it. You have not had the opportunity to read it. But there are 3 paragraphs in her statement that concern you. And it's only fair that we let you have regard to them and simply confirm to us whether what she says is accurate or not. I'm actually thinking of giving you the 3 paragraphs for you to look at, and then maybe...
Commissioner Kumalo, I did give it to the
Oh,
witness.
you have it there? Thank
Yes, he
you,
does have it.
Advocate Seagulls. Paragraph 27.3 and 27.4 on page 9 of Mr. Shega's statement. Please just read those 2 paragraphs and confirm whether what she says is accurate.
27.3, around the month of May 2023, the accounting officer called Chief Mapiyeye, Kolani Niza, HOD, Kemi Bihari, and myself into a meeting. She wanted answers as to why the disciplinary hearing of erstwhile Brigadier Makunazi has not commenced. Mr. Niza provided an explanation, including that the processes were at an advanced stage. The investigation has been concluded. The appointment of the presiding officer and prosecutor is underway, and the charges are to be drafted soon accordingly. So on that paragraph, Chair, I do recall there was concerns around the delays in the process. I can't, specifically recall that exact meeting on that day, but I do recall there were discussions in the delay of the processes.
You can't dispute what she says.
I can't dispute it, Chair.
Thank you. Next paragraph.
27.4, although I cannot recall all the facts at this point, Dr. Mashazi then explained that the disciplinary code agreement talks to 3 months to conclude a disciplinary proceeding and that it has expired. There is no need to extend it. Erstwhile Brigadier Mkonazi was to come to work. Instead, we were to account for why the investigation was not concluded, if not.
Do you dispute what is recorded in 27.4?
In terms of the meeting, yes. I'm not disputing it, Chair. As I said, I cannot recall to the extent of it, but there was concerns about the delays in the process up to then.
So I take it you're not disputing what is
No,
recorded there. Page 12, paragraph 37.
Must I read it as well, Chair? In August 2023, the accounting officer raised the issues relating to how the labor relations cases are handled, especially EMPD cases, including the case of Brigadier Mkonazi, as it was now raised via an anonymous persons or emails. When we were called to account, HR could not fully account for it, especially Mr. Gneza. The accounting officer raised more than the non-management of labor cases by Mr. Gneza and how the issues of charges was managed. In the discussion, it was suggested that HOD Kemi and me be fully involved in the issue of disciplinary process, and the instruction was very clear, hence the new procedure was developed.
Do you dispute what is recorded there?
No, it actually supplements or adds to what I've been talking about in terms of the report, Chair.
All right. Just one thing, you see there it talks about the anonymous emails, and arising from that, you appointed an audit firm, remember, to deal with the leak.
No, Chair, when the anonymous emails came through to our attention, I engaged with the city manager to say these are concerns which we need to address as information officers. She then called in, I think it was, at that stage it was the CAE Lindiwe Hlaza. And thereafter, I didn't follow the process until the appointed firm then contacted us for information as to what is required.
And then in their report, the so-called audit report, if you remember correctly, in one of the late paragraphs in their recommendations, they actually recommended that a legal opinion be obtained on the prospects of succeeding in a disciplinary process against Julius Mkwanazi. Do you remember that? It's in paragraph 27 point something, 1.27 or something like that.
Yeah, I did look at that part where a legal opinion needed to be obtained.
Sorry, it's actually paragraph 13.9.2 of that audit report. I think you have it in front of you.
Yes, first obtain a legal opinion.
Just read it, please.
Section 13.9.2. First, obtain a legal opinion on the city's prospects of success prior to commencing or instituting disciplinary action against Mkonazi in light of inter alia, those aspects.
Yes. Did you obtain that legal opinion?
No, Chair.
No, yes or no, did you obtain it?
This I don't believe will be a yes or no answer, Chair. I just want to go back to, this comes from 13.1. In the findings, in the circumstances, NISA had an obligation to first obtain a legal opinion. So it was about NISA obtaining the legal opinion, not me, Chair.
No, but it's now August. We know that in terms of the new coding, NISA has no authority. There's a recommendation that Ekurhuleni should obtain a legal opinion. Only you can do that at this stage.
Chair, in terms of the processing of the forensic reports, there is a process that we take it through. Then only does it come back to us to say, okay, implement these findings or not. So at that stage,
was it implemented either by you
not
or
by me, not by me.
And you know he was suspended, so I don't know why you're saying NISA should have done this. Because he was suspended, he couldn't do this.
Chair, if he was, as I say, Chair, there's a process for processing forensic reports. When you go to impact, which the internal audit department does, then impact comes back and say, okay, deal with these issues. I did not deal with this issue because it was not about, the finding was not against us. It was about not proceeding further, firstly, in terms of what ought to be, and hence the findings were made against NISA. He ought to have done that. It was the finding that was made against him at that stage.
Yes, I'm done, but I find it strange that NISA, who's the subject of the investigation, because he's one of the suspects, somebody suspects that he's the one who leaked the documents and he's the author of the email, and he's under investigation. Then the report must go to him to implement the very report that investigates him. I just find that very strange.
Chair, okay. I'm saying that there was a report. This is a forensic report on the findings of what transpired before. Right. The report is not for NISA to implement at this stage. It is a report of the forensic audit that goes to internal audit department. Internal audit then takes that with a report to impact to say this is what the situation is. These are the findings, are the fruitless and wasteful expenditure, where are the irregularities that occurred, and then it goes to impact, and then impact makes a recommendation on the way forward. So at the time of the finding by the internal audit company or the forensic firm, it means that we found these issues that should have been done before we proceeded to that extent. So that is where, so at that stage, there's no indication to me to deal with that, Chair. I hear you, you're finding it strange, but that is the process I can describe in terms of processing internal audit reports.
Just find out who ordered this report, this investigation, what you call the forensic investigation.
Okay, so Chair, arising out of the BX emails, when it came to our attention, I went to City Manager, we discussed the issue in terms of our compliance. CM then discussed the matter with the internal audit, Chief Audit Executive, Ms. Lindiwe Hleza. And thereafter we know that Mr. Philip Rachwale, when he started acting, then he processed the matter with the appointment of the firm and engaged further on that.
So you didn't appoint the firm?
No, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. That's all for the witness.
Thank you very much, Mr. Behari. You are excused.
Thank you, Chair. Oops.
Chair, may you indulge us with an adjournment for us to prepare ourselves for the next witness? 10 minutes, please.
We'll come in when you indicate.
Thank you, Chair.
Let's adjourn.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. We will be needing some time to deal with one or two issues, and we will advise as soon as we are ready. Thank you.